Hello and welcome back to my channel. Now I have some very exciting news to share with you guys. I have found some awesome drugstore dupes for the shades in the one and only chocolate bar palette. Now I regret to inform you that I found 15 out of the 16. I could not find cherry cordial, and trust me, I looked. So I'm going to go over all the palettes. There's actually 7 of them that include these colors, but I'm going to do that towards the end of this video. So I'm just going to jump right in. And as you may or may not know, the chocolate bar palette does not have the shades listed in the packaging itself. It comes with a plastic insert. Unfortunately, my chocolate bar palette did not come with a plastic insert, so I have to keep referring to the back of the box, and that has all my shades listed right there. So thank God for this, because mine didn't come with the insert. So I'm going to go in this order, starting down here, and then I'll go up, and then work my way down there, and then up, and then that way. So I'm going to start with this color right here, Champagne Truffle. Just so you know, if I say my e.l.f. palette, that just means my 100 e.l.f. palette that most people already have. So starting with Champagne Truffle, I'm just going to swatch these on my fingers because I feel like it picks up the most color. So I'm always going to use this finger for the ones in the chocolate bar palette so it doesn't get confusing. So there's Champagne Truffle, and I felt the closest matched was in this Rimmel London palette, and it's a quad, and it's called Royalty, and the number 030. So I'll put that on my second finger. So as you can see, it's not like a perfect match, but it definitely comes close with the shimmer in it. Skipping Cherry Cordial and moving on to Haute Chocolate, which is this color right here. This one was kind of hard to find, but I did find out one that was close in my e.l.f. palette. So I had to look for a brown that had some gold flakes in it. Now again, it's not perfect, but it's the closest I could find. Next we have Creme Brulee, which is this very golden color right here. And I found the closest matched in this NYC palette. And this was another one. These were all really hard for me to find because the chocolate bar palette is so unique. But with this palette, I came as close to the gold color that I could with it. And I think I did pretty good. Next we have Hazelnut, and that's a shimmery brown here in the corner. And I thought that matched best with a Wet n Wild palette, the same one that I've been using. So this is going to be from the chocolate bar palette, and I'm going to continue to use this finger to match, with the chocolate bar palette. So again, another close match. And that one is... I'm moving on to my favorite shade in the chocolate bar palette, and that is this one right here, and it's called Salted Caramel, and I literally use this almost every day as a crease color because I think it's just the perfect transition color. So I'm going to put that on my pointer finger, and now I'm moving on to a different palette. It's the NYX Love in Paris, and it's going to be this one here in the corner. So this one might be a little bit harder to see on camera, but I think that this is a very, very, very close match. These two right here. So obviously they're not going to be perfect, but I think it came really close. So that's the NYX Love in Paris palette. By the way, I just love the names that they came up for in this chocolate bar palette because they're all like, it's all candy or chocolate, and it's marzipan. There we go. It's right there. And I'm going to be using the Wet n Wild palette again. This one is, I think, the closest I've come this whole time, and it's this eyelid color right here. So this is a really, really close match. Like, they're almost identical. So that's this shade right here, and it's going to be matching the marzipan. Next one is semi-sweet, and that's just this regular matte chocolate matte brown. And I'm using the Rimmel palette again in Royalty. And as you can see, this is another one that comes very close, but it's not exact. But I think this is a great dupe for. Strawberry Bonbon is right here. And I don't think it's, all right, so it's just this light pink matte shade. And this was the hardest for me to find. I even looked in the blush section, and then I discovered that my drugstores now sell NYX palettes, and I'm using the same one, Love in Paris. And they have this, so I did this in the wrong order, but yeah. So this is one of the only palettes where I actually found a matte pink. So this is the chocolate bar, and this is the NYX. So again, a very close match. Doing good so far. We found 15 out of 16, so that's pretty awesome. The next one is called Candied Violet. And unfortunately, I do not have that palette on me, but I will show you a picture of what I found, and it's a Maybelline palette, and that's what it looks like when I swatch it on my finger. And I have, so that's it inside of the box, and I have the same problem for the next one, which is Amaretto, and that one's right here, and I'm just gonna put that on my finger, and then I'll show you a picture of what it looks like inside of the box. Triple Fudge is going to be this darkest brown shade, and it's a matte brown, and it's not quite black, but you'll see. So I'm going to put this on my pointer finger, and then the one that I found that it matched the closest with is in the NYX palette, and it's this dark brown shade. So I'll show you what that looks like. And I would say that this is a pretty close match. I mean, they're almost identical. The one from the Chocolate Bar palette is a little darker, and the one from the NYX palette is just a little bit more powdery, but it's pretty darn close. Black Forest Truffle is this brown with red undertones, and it's very, very shimmery, and it looks like this. And I found a very good match for it, so I'm going to put this on my first finger. And as you can see, it's very shimmery, and I found this one in my NYC palette, and it's the darkest one. And obviously the the Chocolate Bar one is more shimmery, but the NYC one is not as shimmery, but it definitely comes close. It's the closest one that I could find. So for the one called Milk Chocolate, which is right here, I had to refer to my e.l.f. palette. And this is the one from the Chocolate Bar, and this is the one from my e.l.f. And it was just like a taupey brown color. Another one that was hard to find, but it's a pretty close match, as you can see. Obviously, the Chocolate Bar one is a lot more pigmented. White chocolate is obviously going to be really easy to find in almost any palette because it's really close to white. And I went with the NYX Love in Paris, and I used this white shade. And this one is the Chocolate Bar, and this one is the NYX. And they're pretty much identical. Last but not least, we have this shade called Gilded Ganache. And that's right here. And this shade is so unique. It's like a greenish yellowish, but it's also brown, and it has some yellow shimmer to it. And that one's right here. And I thought it would be the hardest to find, but it was actually the easiest because there was 3 that came close. This one's from the Chocolate Bar. This one is from my Wet n Wild that I was just showing you. And this one is from the NYC palette. And I think the NYC palette is the closer match of the two. And it looks like this. So, alright, so let's talk money. We want to find out if it's worth it to get the Chocolate Bar palette or if it's better to get the drugstore alternatives. So this retails at $49. And moving on to the drugstore versions, I think when it comes to the e.l.f. palette, we can take it or leave it because there's so many other options in these ones. So this Wet n Wild palette is... just so we can see which one exactly it is, it's number, I'll tell you, it's 738, and it's called Comfort Zone, and we basically use the shades that are on this side, and this was $4.99. So the Rimmel palette is called Royalty, as I have mentioned, and it's number 030. Sorry, I know you can't see that. And we pretty much used every one except for this one, even though this would be a pretty close match to Salted Caramel. And this was another palette that was under $5. And then we have our NYX palette, which we used a lot of shades out of that one. This was about $10. And then the NYC palette, that was $4.99. So let's see, we have 5, 10, 20, and then let's just say 25. And then the other two Maybelline palettes, I'll tell you what they're called. The one with the purple is called 060 Amethyst Smokes. And then the other one, let's see. The other one was number 95, and it was called Coral Last. That's what it's called. So number 95, Coral Last. And there was only one shade out of each of those palettes. So, you know, let's see. What do we have again? 5, 10, 15, 25, and then we add another $10 to that, and that makes 35. And if you wanted to throw in the e.l.f. palette for $10, that would be 45. So it still ends up being less than the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette. And, you know, so you can decide for yourself which one you think was more worth it. I hope you guys at least got something out of this video, and if you liked it, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and feel free to subscribe. There's more fun stuff to come, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, guys.